there, Sonia from Rainbow Balloons. Now, I know Halloween was 1 or 2 days ago, depending on where you are in the world, but I have a friend who I'd like you to meet. It's my little friend, Sally the Spectre. Now, I came up with Sally. I make my friends the easy way out of balloons. Because I wanted to come up with a design for Halloween that was a little bit spooky, a little bit sweet. And what better way to do that than create it out of clear balloons. Now I'm going to show you how to make a friend or sister to Sally, and let you know what balloons you're going to need to be able to make a friend of your very own. Now with Sally, I created her with two 5-inch rounds, sorry, mind blank there, and two 160s and a 160 scrap. Now if you're able to conjure up a quick link for the head, that would be a great balloon to use. In fact, that's what I'm going to use. But the original Sally, she is just a round with a raisin in the head. So like I said, if you can't conjure up, see what I did there on purpose, a quick link, you can certainly use a round, and it is just as effective, as you can see. Alright, so what I've gone ahead to do is pre-inflate all my balloons, so I'll show you them one by one. So we have the quick link that I'll be using for the head. So when it's inflated, try to make it a bit of a round shape. But when I went ahead to inflate the body, I wanted to have a bit more of a pear shape. So ghosts aren't often very articulated or defined, so I believe that the spherical or the round shape really lends itself to the sweetness of this sculpture. Then we've got my two spirited 160s, and we, well, what I did with another is actually curled it already. So if you have your legenda or something similar where you can get that nice tight curl, go ahead to do so and inflate it all the way to the end, but make sure it is a little bit soft. So with these two, one I'm going to use for the main part of the hair, and the second I will treat as a scrap, which we need for the arms. So I'll reach for my first one, which I've inflated with a tail of about this length. So what we are going to do is actually go back to the quick link and the round, and we want to tie these together. Okay, so once we've got this form, go ahead to get your 160 and tie it to the quick link. Now you may be wondering, and maybe not, that why am I now using white balloons instead of transparent? Well, I actually used the last of my transparent 160s on that last little lady. So a girl's got to do what a girl's got to do to make friends. Am I right? Now, back to the balloon. What we're going to do with this 160 is start off by doing 2 pinch twists. So these bubbles are about 1/2 inch in length each. And that just serves as a starting point for our hair. We're going to go ahead to create another pinch twist. So if you place the balloon down alongside the head, we're going to aim for about this point here for the pinch twist to be. So I'm going to twist the balloon off, add another 1/2 inch bubble, pinch twist, then another small 3-finger bubble to be twisted in at the neck. You can see there's a little bit of give in that area, so it doesn't need to be in there super tight, and if your gap is smaller than that, that's okay, but try not to have it too much bigger. Now for the neck area, we are going to create another 1/2 inch pinch twist. And now this is going to serve for neck, and we only need to pop in one of those. Now what we're going to do is create the other strands of hair. So either side of what we created here, we're just going to run it up and down 4 times, 2 on either side of the head. Sorry, either side of that original one. That's what my first one looks like. Getting away. As you twist the balloon, squeeze it a bit towards the end to help soften the balloon a bit. So you don't want it too tight in case it might decide to pop. Underneath. So you can see I've done hair bubbles on either side. Now I'm going to do, sorry, not either side, on the one side. Now I'm going to go ahead to replicate that and do 2 more on this side. Now with this, if you've got a little bit of tail at the end, that's pretty good. If you find that for this last bit of hair it's inflated more, you might want to reduce the amount of air inside by popping in a little hole, snipping off them, what have you, retying the balloon and then twisting it in. But if you do have a little bit of excess left, I do like to give it a bit of a knot to help it grip in even better. In and around, securing in below at the pinch twist. Sorry, she's getting away. Alright, so with the ghostie, I don't always find that the hair finishes off neatly. I might have to remove the excess and then tie it in. So just keep on keeping on and finish that hair piece however you need to. But good that we have the one in the middle, the first one we did, and then the 4 that are either side of that one. Right, so going ahead now to take the curled 160. I should point out, if you don't have 160s, 260s work okay as well. The hairstyle becomes a bit more fuller, so don't feel locked into having to use 160s. So I've started off by securing the hair into the pinch twist at the back. So now I'm going to bring it around to the front, sweeping it underneath the hair bubbles from before. And don't force it too much. Like I said, let it sweep, bring it up to those pinch twists and start to twist off the excess balloon or the rest of the curl. And then when you've got that bit of an area to join, go ahead and join it. Run it under those pinch twists. Now, just a point, when I started it off, I did the 2 pinch twists in the top. That serves for 2 purposes. For me, I find that sometimes one of my pinch twists deflate, which is a bit sad. So if that happens, then you've got a second one that you can use, which is great. And then the other thing is it can help give the hair a bit of a more dynamic edge. So when you bring the 160 around to make the second sort of fringe or hair sweep at the front, you can position it kind of over those pinch twists that you created at the top, so it gives a bit of a rise in the hair and then curving down under the rest of the hair. It looks a bit nice, I think. In this case it looks like one of my pinch twists is slowly disappearing. So what you're going to do, but work with what you've got. So if I would like to leverage this bit of hair off that pinch twist, when I fold it around, it's going to be sitting in front of these bubbles here. Bringing that curly balloon around to the pinch twist at the back, twisting off, twisting the bubble off so you've got that nice little joint to put your 160 Q tail into. And then I like to have it sort of position off to the side, just like that fairy tutorial that I did. So just, I think, makes most use of that curl that you went to all the trouble to make look so nice. Alright, so far looking pretty cute. Doing a few tweaks and pulls here and there. Now, I'm not quite a huge fan of how that balloon looks stretching to there, but I'm not going to worry too much about it because the rest of it is looking on point. And we're about to do the arms, and that may also help to conceal that area a little bit. So, going ahead to get one of the 160s, or when I say one of the 160s, you know, one I prepared earlier. And it just needs to be a scrap. I've inflated it quite a lot, but not necessary because we're just going to twist off 2 arms. I like to make mine fairly dainty in size, so we've got about a hand's width there. Duplicate the size of that bubble, like so, and lock it in. I like to remove my excess and then tie those together. So what we're going to do with these arms is very gently finesse them into the body by placing them over the pinch twist and then positioning them. Now it's a bit trickier, I suppose, to show or demonstrate and have it be seen by the camera at the same time, but let's just go ahead and see how we go. But what I am going to do is, using this the knotted neck area, neck and tail, I'm going to insert it over the pinch twist that we have here and then position the arms. Go stress when you can. Sorry, she's a bit more spirited than her sister. I think we made up. I think this is it. So don't be afraid to have a bit of a, I guess, play at getting that in there to sit just right. The back of the arms, you want them to kind of sit underneath the hair in a way that supports the back of the head. Now that's why we just did the one pinch twist in the front, and then we're using the arms to kind of support the head at the back. So, with the balloon friction at work there, it should help keep it in place. And I like the look where the arms are quite nice and close to the body. You can sort of see within this design, because it helps lend to that sweet, innocent look, I believe. I believe. Now, that's pretty much your balloon. So we're just going to go ahead now to do the artwork and show you the tools of the trade that I use. So we're going to go ahead to use a Sharpie to do the cheek details, and then I've got this Maxi Flow permanent marker. Ooh. Sorry, I know it's reversed there, but it gives a beautiful vivid kind of black ink, which is great for quick coverage and to look pretty opaque. And then the white paint marker, art line. Maxi Flow, Pentel Maxi Flow. Sharpie. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead to draw the artwork on. Bear with me here. So I find the rosy cheeks look good in the pink. You might like to use red. That might give a bit of a sick pallor kind of look to it. So you might like that that particular look. Sorry, it's a bit hard, isn't it? Move around a bit, that's the beanbag. Okay, so for you Aussies out there, a bit bigger than a $1 piece, a bit smaller than a 20-cent piece. Use your imagination for other currencies. But that's about how big that cheek is. I'm going to go ahead to do my best to replicate that shape over there. Now, a handy trick that I find, if I'm doing a face or something where I want to have a bit of symmetry, I like to turn the balloon upside down. Because there's not often much going on in the above head area, I feel there's more places for my arm to maneuver while I'm trying to draw the artwork on. And you can also, I guess, gauge a bit about sizing. For this second eye, I'm starting a bit smaller, and then cheek, I'll start a bit smaller and then increase the size a bit, so I can kind of decide, am I even? Because you are aiming to be, I guess, as pretty even as possible, but if you're a little lopsided, I don't think people are going to mind too much. But that's just a trick that I like to do. Start a bit small and roughly in the right place, or hopefully in the right place, and then determine where your size or shape needs to be increased or modified. So I'm just going to go ahead now to colour that in. Sometimes I can start getting a bit of a perfectionist about how nice and neat the edges are, but then I remember, hey, I'm going to layer another colour on top of that particular part of the shape, so let's not worry so much about focusing on perfect roundness or smoothness. Done with the pink. So going ahead to do the eyes. What I think is one of the most successful parts about the design as well is the simple, sweet face. The eyes are in the shape of a teardrop, and that helps lend, I think, to her appeal as well. So basically that's the teardrop shape that I want to use and colour in. And sometimes I might decide, hey, I want to make that a bit wider, or oh gosh, I went ahead and made that too wide. But I do, oh well, just keep on going, keep on keeping on. Can't really see, sorry. So I'm going to do that whole turn the balloon upside down for this next one. And if you have a look there about how the shapes are overlapping as well, to give you a bit of an idea of positioning if you're trying your own. So the brilliant thing about these markers is when you find that the ink might be starting to get a bit thin, give it a shake, poke the end in a few times, and that will help to make the colour be more vivid and dense. I actually got the pen to use from Shanna Brennan. So when she came down to Australia, did one of her OzJam classes, and this is one of those nuggets of information that I learnt and I loved from it. This marker is over and above my preferred one to use, even above the good old black Sharpie. Alright, so now we've done the eyes, we're going to go ahead to add eyelashes and a couple of eyebrows. So, just on the top of the eye. And then two little eyebrows. And while we've got the marker here, we're going to do her little pout. So it's fairly small, kind of in the middle of the cheeks there. Oh, sorry. Oh, don't bend that way. There we go. Now we're going to go ahead to add the shine to her eyes. Now, just give the black ink a bit of a blow if I need to help dry it, to try and prevent sticking my white paint pen into those black spots. Generally I do a nice big one and then a little small one offside and below the first one. With eye shine, you make the effort to not mirror it, but make it identical, because it's got the same light source, so that smaller circle is positioned on the same spot on either eye. Ooh, come back, we're not finished. But you know what, I think we are. Jostling for a shot on camera there. But I hope you like meeting my spooky friends, and I hope you are looking forward to making some of your own. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. But thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed it. See you later.